if you are privileged in society, you should give back.
Yeah.
You are a lawyer, you are highly privileged in the society. So until and unless you are not giving back to the society, there is no question of being in a privileged state. Future crime is going to be only on a cyber crime. So we are looking at the conventional stage where the physical act of theft, cheating and other financial crimes are committed. But with the evolution of the technologies in place, today phishing, a lot of other cyber activity, cyber crime activity, which can create a potential lot of danger. I used to say, I said by Swami Vivekananda, take up one idea, make that idea your nerves, cells, body and everything, approach towards that idea, then success will automatically follow you.
Welcome back to another episode of the DNLU Podcast, where we dive deep into the minds of the industry leaders. I'm your host, Ojaswini Gupta, a fourth-year student at the Dharmashastra National Law University. And today with us, we have esteemed guest, Advocate Prabhakaran Ramachandran, sir. He is the founder of Pravda Law Associates and the Lincoln Global Law Chambers, specializing in litigation and private international law. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, sir. Without any further ado, let's start by delving into our first question. Sir, you have had an incredible journey in the legal fraternity. You began your career as an attorney at the Ford Motor Company in the USA and have since handled over 7,000 litigation cases. Can you tell us about your journey from Ford Motor Company to finding Pravda Law Associates and Lincoln Global Law Chambers?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, when I was pursuing my master's degree in law, the Ford Motor Company, they came for the campus interview. And I was interviewed by one gentleman, my boss, named Bradley Gayton. He was the director for the Global Trade Taxation Customs at USA at that point of time. When he interviewed me, since I had learned LLM in an elaborate, extensive manner, I had a habit of an extensive reading with a lot of interpretation, analysis and various other aspects. Especially I was interested in jurisprudence and American constitutional law. So when they interviewed me, it played a very great deal in convincing them or persuading them during the course of interview. Then immediately he hired me from Chennai. Then I got an opportunity to serve as an attorney for Ford Motor Company there. There I got an opportunity to work with the best of the legal minds across the globe. In fact, our legal department was rated as one of the best in-house counsel team across the globe. Even we have outbeaten Microsoft, Google at that point of time. Then subsequently, I was exposed to the taxation area. I was handling a lot of tax matters, international taxation matters, a lot of research, providing opinion, and to the advice and to the board of the Ford Motor Company. Then thereafter, because of family personal reasons, though I was asked to stay in America for a long time, then I came back here. Then thereafter, I switched over to LexisNexis. There I was an attorney, corporate attorney, handling intellectual property and a lot of corporate legal matters. But it did not satisfy my soul in the sense I am a passionate litigator. In this in-house counsel, though it was very comfortable, very in a very prospective way, but I was looking for some of the challenging ways where as a lawyer, successful lawyer, what transformation or what rule of law that I can contribute on my part. So that was intriguing in my mind personally, which made me to ponder over that. Then I thought that corporate area, though it is a very lucrative career, it is limited in its practice because we don't get an opportunity to interact with the normal clients, to see the realm of the society, the people from the vulnerable and the poor background. Since I came from a very humble background, right from the beginning I had a lot of desire to work for the people with the underprivileged sections. That is how I got inspired, because I've been following Lord Gautama Buddha and Swami Vivekananda as one of my primary mentor role model, especially Abraham Lincoln too, since he was in America, the way he fought in the Civil War and how he became one of the greatest president the world has ever seen. He was a great accomplished lawyer by himself. So these are the things which kept me thinking about it. Then thereafter I plunged into the practice. When I became a practicing attorney, initially I started appearing since I had a corporate background, I was representing, advising many of the multinational companies at that point of time. But even then, since to chase my desire and dream, I was appearing as a pro bono lawyer for majority of the disability organizations. So slowly started taking cases, and these people did not have the best of the legal minds to work for them. So that gave me an impetus to work for them. I thought that it's a God-given opportunity, and these people, when you provide them a lot of relief and remedial measure, could sustain their life, and a lot of transformation in their life as well as in the society happened. I was able to witness all this, and I thought that this is the right way to work more and more for them. Through that aspect, in order to sustain my law firm, I was also working for the corporate companies. So I segregated in a different dimension. 30 to 40% of the work would be on pro bono matters. Sometimes it might exit, but half of the time I was working for the corporate to make my own sustenance, to run my office, to maintain a library, and to maintain the juniors, because I was also paying very decently, very well for all my juniors too. So that's the reason the Pravda Law Associates started in the year 2007. Yeah. Then I became a very successful lawyer. We expanded our operations to Delhi, various places. And Corona period, since I got a lot of Middle East clients, I got an opportunity to interact with a lot of the clients. Then I got an opportunity to bridge a tie-up with a lot of the leading law firms. For example, in Doha, we have got Dr. Hamad as our partner. He was heading the army division in Doha as a country head, as well as the director of prosecution. He was heading the whole country, the defense department as a secretary of defense in the legal department. So he got impressed with my credentials because he has worked with the Colin Powell, because of the Ford background and the USA other things, he got impressed. Then we got entered into a partnership with him. Similarly, in Oman, director of prosecution of the country has become our partner. In Dubai, also retired police chief has become our partner. So through that, we are also expanded our operations. That is the time I thought about it. Apart from national practice, its time has come for me to move on to the next level, because right from 2008-9, I was practicing the High Court as well as in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, I appeared a lot of corporate matters, a lot of pro bono matters for the past more than 15 to 17 years. Yeah. So I thought with all this experience, with all this insight of experience which I gathered a momentum, it's time for me to contribute to the internationally also, since I started getting the clients. We started advising the clients from Middle East, a lot of law firms. And my idea is to have a presence in at least 20 countries across the globe. Not only that, the same method and methodology we have to adapt. I'm thinking about it to work for the poor, vulnerable people in the respective countries. Yeah. Maybe irrespective of religion, caste, creed, gender, or ethnicity, or nationalism. Yeah. It has to be on the global front, because as a lawyer fraternity, the world is one global. Yeah. So that's the reason, with the vision, we started with a Lincoln Law Firm and the Pravda Law Associates. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. That is highly impressive of you to elaborate all of this so beautifully. Moving on to our next question. With the rise of cyber threats, how do you see the intersection of legal practice and cyber security, and what prompted you to, delve into this arena of law?
That's a good question, because since I had my LLM criminal law background, I was always interested in criminal law. Yeah. I happened to read a book 10 years back, that is Future Crimes. Future crime is going to be only on a cyber crime. So we are looking at the conventional stage where the physical act of theft, cheating, and other financial crimes are committed. But with the evolution of the technologies in place, today phishing, a lot of other cyber activity, cyber crime activity, which can create a potentially a lot of danger to child pornography, to women, children, as well as the cyber attack, cyber threat. All these operations are taking place. So the lawyer has to cope up with the technology to the latest trend. Right. Otherwise, we'll be complacent. We continue to remain complacent, and we may not cope up with the current challenging ground realities. So that's the reason we have to think ahead, move ahead. So in that concept, I was focusing on that, the cyber security issues, and also not only that, I was dealing a corporate legal advisor for a lot of IT companies. Those companies, they got even a cloud computing in the cloud area, where all the databases are stored in that cloud region. Yeah. That has become a very challenging task, and they were subscribing to a lot of online portals. So the cyber security is one of the vulnerability threat penetration assessment is very important tool, because you have to safeguard that your asset is your knowledge of source of information. Today, any person who carries a mobile phone has got a lot of information, entire valid data into the picture. That is why people, even the high officials, retired judges, sitting judges, politicians, even they have come under the radar and the attack. And the information is very pivotal, because right from the Ford, I was handling the personal identifiable information also, which is one of the key component. Because today a company CEO who carries a laptop, And if you access a personal email ID, it has got a multiple number of communications, n number of secret details and other things. In the previous era, everything was stored in a document. It's stored in a secret locker. It's very difficult to trace it or take it out. Today, by the advancement, enhancement of the technology, if a person is able to penetrate into your security system, if you don't have a proper cyber protection system, easily you can enter into that by hacking. Through that hacking, immediately what takes place, the hackers immediately, they take out all the informations, and financial frauds are happening. Even if your one-time password, something which financial transaction that takes place, people are able to take your information and immediately make you, in a single day, billionaire can become a person with no money. So these things are shocking revelations are taking place. So with that aim, I thought we have to focus more on the international level. Right. Since we are operating international level, the cyber security is a crucial component. So in that aspect, I identified one colonel, Mr. Vijay Kumar in our firm, who was served in Indian Army as a colonel. He has also served as a chief information security officer for Tata Telecommunications. After serving from that company, he joined in our firm. He is heading the operations. Not only that, in LexisNexis also we were concerned about a lot of security issues. We have got ISO legal certification, which I did the process for integrating all the things. Not only that, since information has become a one-way traffic, the world has become a global village. People are moving from place to place. Information has to be protected. That is the greatest asset and the tool. Right. So with that aim, to prevent from the hackers, attackers or phishers, any sort of malpractice or prevention of detection of cyber threat and fraud, I think it's going to be an evolving technique, and not many people are equipped with that. Even courts are not really equipped with that. So it is time for us. Even recently, the Supreme Court website came under an attack, and they're trying to emphasize on the particular aspect by having interface technology with the information IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. They collaborated with that. So I think we have to look forward from the larger angle, as well as that student community also should get a lot of views about it. New vistas should be open, and the future crime is the detection, investigation, fraud and everything. Since it's happening on the advancement of level, the crime perpetrators have moved on to the next level. So I think lawyers also have to cope up with lawmakers, policy makers, decision makers, has to approach towards that end. Then only we can have a very safe and clean society.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Now, one more very interesting fact about Advocate Ramachandran is that he is a gold medalist holder in both his UG and PG studies. So I would like to ask you, sir, that how students like us could aspire to have that status, and what challenges you faced in your university studies, and how did you overcome that to achieve that status, that aspiring status?
Yeah, that's a good question. Always I used to follow or imitate philosophers like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. If you look into the concept, they say that you keep on asking questions. When you have a question, you have to unravel your mind. That will open a new vistas. Lot of mysteries could be found. So the same way, when you apply the law, a student life, you might be applying law in a different perspective. When you become a lawyer, you are applying in a different perspective. Application law is very important. But to apply the law, you need to have the fundamental nuances of a law. So right from the beginning, I used to read in a wider angle. I used to work for 16 to meticulously 18 hours per day. I used to refer all the libraries, textbooks, apart from the bibliographies, all the reference notes. And also not only that, it is always advisable not to rely upon one particular author, because one particular author will have one dimensional view. But you need to have a 360-degree multi-dimensional view, for which if you are able to read so many textbooks, scripts, then the literature of law is very important. What was the law? What is the law? What ought to be the law? ML, we were taught like that. So this has fascinated me to read the subject again and again, to deeply penetrate into the subject, so that you can impregnate with a lot of new ideas, so that it can be beneficial to the humanity and the mankind at large. So since I was focusing on that aspect, I was able to secure first rank in all my legal subjects in the law. I got a gold medalist as a topper. Similarly, I picked up the same momentum in my LLM days also, which I did that. Of course, we had a lot of handicap and obstacles during the period, because we did not have a proper guide or proper ecosystem, in the sense lack of library, lack of accessibility, so many things were there. But if you are determined, will have a perseverance and determination, we can do that. Similarly, when I went to US, when I joined a Ford Motor Company, it has got the best of access from the world leading law subscription journals or articles. You were given a lot of opportunity to do a lot of issues on research. So the more you study, the more you equip, the more you widen your horizon, you are not narrowly constructed. So law is nothing but interpretation, construction of the law. The construction of law law is a social engineers. So that construction, basically, if you want to build a good platform in a very more broadful, in a meaningful, purposeful way. For example, people in law application itself, there is a narrow interpretation, liberal interpretation. So when if your thoughts are confined to your own particular area, in a particular domain, normally you are supposed to have a narrow interpretation. But to have a broader interpretation, beyond law, I think you have to read on jurisprudence. That is, jurisprudence is not only about law, beyond law, you have to learn a lot of subjects. It's a multidimensional view. So when you read like that, definitely you are ill equipped. That is why often I emphasize when I talk to the university students, I mean a guest faculty, professor, visiting professor, and guest lecturer for various universities, meeting a lot of young, legal, bright, talented minds. What I used to emphasize one particular point is that law is the one, a phenomenal subject, a fundamental subject, which has revolutionized changed the world. Because law involves everything. For example, you need to know about medicine. If you are handling murder case, medical legal jurisprudence will come into the picture. Similarly, if you are handling economic cases, you are supposed to know on economics. Similarly, if you are taking constitutional cases, without any political background and the historical background, you cannot take up the cases. For example, if you are if you are in the habit of handling HRNC, interreligious matters, you are supposed to know the origin of the temple and the sources or the customary practices practiced by the people. Similarly, if you take international law, what is the relation between the countries, when the League of Nations came, when the UNO came into picture, all these things. So it is a ever widening, ever expanding, ever expounding subject. So anthropology to zoology, A to Z. What I said, A to Z, you have to read on all the subjects. So for which it's that's why we say that nobody can master the law, because law is a big ocean. Until and unless you jump into the ocean, you deeply immerse yourself into the rule of law. As said by Oliver Wendell Holmes, life of the law is nothing but a logic or experience. You have to experiment it. You have to do the experimentation. And also law is an evolving subject. It's not static. It is a dynamic one. It progresses. For example, majority today, different thought of interpretation might have been given by the courts or judges, but that doesn't continue to be the law forever. So the lawyers only, they play instrumental key role in transforming the society, in ameliorating the lives of the people in myriad ways, in millions ways. Legislation comes into the picture when you experiment the practical difficulty, because if you take any laws passed in the parliament, it has got a historical genesis, historical background. These things are interpreted or applied by the lawmakers, law agents, policy makers. So they influence a lot. So you need to have an anthropological, historical, sociological, philosophical, psychological perspective. Through that aspect only, a student can enrich themselves. So through that way, I was able to being an academician. That is why today I focus on multiple aspects. For example, if you take Ramjat Malani, he was one of the famous criminal lawyers. But apart from that, if you take Nani Palkiwala, he says in his life that so he was a pretty ordinary student. He became an outstanding lawyer, constitutional lawyer. Though he was an average student during law college days, he has become a professor in law. He was teaching in the government law college in Mumbai for the students in the evening time. So interacting with the minds and frequently interacting with them, because they open new challenges at every point of time. They make you to think. At the same time, you come out with the reasoning, questioning, reasoning. That is how you upgrade yourselves. For example, in USA, if you take the countries like USA, even the judges of the Supreme Court, they do a lot of fundamental research. They go to the academic institutions, Rusco Ponce, the lawyers of the social engineers. Judges like Benjamin Nath Cardoso, he had a habit of visiting all the universities, meeting the student community, frequently interacting with them, and come out with a lot of things. And another thing that is lacking in our Indian judiciary, which I feel, is that it has to make a lot of major inroads into that. One point I would like to emphasize is that what I have seen from my experience is that law seems to be not deep research oriented. For example, in India, when a decision that is entered by the Supreme Court, it is based upon that argument of both the said argument that is presented, not on empirical or historical research in that. For example, in America, judges, what they do is, they do a fundamental, thorough, evaluative research, comparative jurisprudence. They analyze the law. And not only that, they look into that academicians in particular, the articles, journals written by them, they incorporate into the judgment. One of the judges in the US Supreme Court said it emphasizes 2 points. One, it makes the judges, the academicians to see that my writings, my research article is closely monitored by the Supreme Court judges in delivering landmark judgment. That makes them improve the quality. Right. That encourages them, because their appreciation, the level of theoretical, because law involves a combination of theoretical as well as practical. Theoretical comes only from the academic stream. When they contribute the knowledge, when the practically, when the goes hand in hand, when the judges start applying that, they upgrade themselves. Academic community also, they listen to the voice because of the research. It's based under continuous sustained research.
Right.
That is why American law is jurisprudence is able to evolve much, because it is based on the jurisprudence. On the existing philosophy of law, they wanted to challenge that, break the stereotype,
Right.
and come out with the unconventional one. Today, a lot of challenges are happening in the country. People, they are very demanding, and the rule of law is very important. Only by the rule of law we can regulate the system, the governance, control the people. Because be ever so high, none is above the law. Law is the king. Law is the command of the sovereign.
Yeah.
So through that aspect, if everybody can be governed in a sovereign country by the will of the law, in that law firm plays a very important role. Lawyers play a progressive role, and as well as because they are a part of a representation of the people. On the other hand, people, they come and approach the lawyers. Through that, the legal system, the issues are debated in the courts of law.
Right. So your approach to this subject is very unique and very appreciative. Just a follow-up question on that, that since you excelled so well in your university studies, why did you go into hardcore litigation and not into academia?
Yeah, even now I am into academia. The reason is you can translate your knowledge into desired action or result in practice. For example, if a client comes to me with a aggrieved pain, I know what the law is, but I have to get a relief for the client in the what exists in the statute book, for which I have to fight for the client, convince the judges, fight for the right, win against the opponent, and get the judgment, delivered, executed. So this process, the legal process, can happen, due process of law, only by the practical application of law in the courts.
Okay.
What we do is a theoretical dimension.
Yes.
The theory has to put into practice. So for example, if you are a scientist, you make some invention in a laboratory.
Yeah.
Thomas Alva Edison invented electric bulb. Before that, he had done a lot of sacrifice. But electric bulb is invented, it is put to practical people application. People are able to use that. Now, lot of electrical companies have come and they have gained billions and billions. But Edison himself might not have envisioned at that point of time. But it has made a lot of boon to the people.
Yeah.
Similarly, lawyers, right from the beginning, they need to have academia. You have to have a theoretical synthetic application. That application has to translate it into action, because agreed people only comes to the court. You have a constitution protected, but how will you enforce the constitution? When you talk about when people's rights are violated, they come to the court, to the lawyer. So lawyer champion for the cause, take up that one and get that results translated into action, so that the rights can be realized in a practical application.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it exists only in a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It should be brought into execution.
So this approach is very aspiring to those who are going into litigation, because most of us think that going into litigation is a very sometimes it is a very mundane job, or sometimes it
No, it's not a mundane job. It's not a stereotype also. It's a very interesting one.
Yeah. So it is a very, it's inspirational to listen from you that you see to litigation in such an inspiring and in such a humane way, that how you would want to help the society or give back to the society as a learned lawyer.
Okay. If you are privileged in society, you should give back.
Yeah.
You are a lawyer, you are highly privileged in the society. So until and unless you are not giving back to the society, there is no question of being in a privileged state. Because certain people, they did not get an opportunity, but we are getting that opportunity. People who has the opportunity definitely should convert that opportunity into reality.
Right.
The basic reality, so that the millions of people who are impoverished, who are living in complete subjugation, denial of rights, basic human rights, their rights can be realized into action. Ambedkar has enacted the constitution, but every person has to work on the path of Dr. Ambedkar, so that the constitutional realism, the legal realism, pragmatism will happen in the real parts of life. So this is a message I wanted to convey to the law students, and thanks for this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
As well as I am happy, proud to see Dharmashastra National University student community convening this sort of podcast, and it is a progressive level. So you have taken the leadership level at a young age, even during the college days, which is a very impressive one. And I think this message will be conveyed to all the legal fraternity, everybody across the country, so that a lot of millions of people, thousands of students can get inspired by it. And from the messages that we convey, from the experience that we share, it is a posterity to the future generation people to follow or leave an indelible mark in their life.
So your inspiring words are the driving force for us to continue with this. So one more question is that as cyber threats continue to evolve, organizations grapple with compliance issues. So could you shed light on the legal and regulatory aspects of cybersecurity, such as data protection, laws and regulations, and how can businesses navigate through such
that's
challenges?
very important, because today when you have a setup, especially corporate governance is very important. For example, earlier we had a Sarbanes-Oxley Act to regulate the corporate governance. Similarly, with that interface of the information technological era, technological revolution marvels that is happening across the globe, especially in the corporate, as I said, it's very important and pivotal for them to have this regulatory body. But unfortunately, the global data protection GDPR, which exists in UK, India is in the nascent level, it's an entry level. It has to make a lot of inroads, progress into that particular era. But definitely every company or every corporate body, because they are responsible to the stakeholders, to the investors, to the general public at large, to have a safe governing system. As I said, because it might damage your entire company, your name and reputation will be at stake. And if you are not able to preserve the valuable asset of a company, then it becomes a serious compliance issue. So not only that, the CEO level or compliance officer level or every level, it becomes a major Herculean task. So every company is focusing on that. Prevention is better than cure, especially in the financial world, especially in the corporate governance, the fast-pacing developmental transformation, protecting governance, especially e-governance. That's why the even government of India has come out with that. They wanted to integrate every people with that advancement of latest technology, so that people can cope up with the latest demanding challenges that exist in the society. So that because everywhere there is a threat, good and evil coexist each other. So if you want to make a good system to prevail, to prevent the pitfalls or the damage potential that may be caused by any of that cyber threat, or tomorrow your competitors might do that, or terrorists might plant something and try to, in a dubious method, try to thwart your business. So to avoid all these things, it's better that we are self-regulated, especially through the legal and global governance by way of a proper cyber security system, which is an essential component.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. As we wrap up our conversation, I would want to express my sincerest gratitude to Advocate Prabhakaran for his invaluable insights into his career, into his journey, and even inspiring us to do more and more work. So is there anything that you would like to share and you would like to say to the students who are aspiring to go into the fields of cybersecurity or litigation in general?
Whatever it is, chase your dream, chase your passion. As often used to say, as said by Swami Vivekananda, take up one idea, make that idea your nerves, cells, body and everything, approach towards that idea, then success will automatically follow you.
Yeah. So those are very inspiring words, and thanks again, and thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to our audiences as well. Please do not forget to subscribe the DNLU channel, and we would see you in the next episode of the DNLU podcast. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.